Welcome to another edition of ClearTalk. My special guest today is Brad Malone. Brad, how are you today?
I am awesome. Thanks, Bradford.
So we've had some discussions in the past, Brad, about the challenges of implementing a product like Q360.
Yep.
And we talked about how it changes culture, how it changes the DNA of an organization. It's a lot more than just a technology implementation. Isn't that right?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that the companies that do it well, and I'm saying we are doing it pretty well now, have really shifted the paradigm from go live being the milestone, and it's about the software, to it's about fulfilling the company's objectives. And the platform's just one aspect of it. We've got to change business processes. We've got to oftentimes teach management how to read dashboards that they've never seen before, using data they've never had before. So it's a big paradigm change, and we're really focusing on that.
That's interesting. And I would think that if an organization tried to make some of these fundamental changes, but didn't have a platform like Q360 to help support those changes and track them, wouldn't that make it a lot more difficult? Have you seen those kind of situations?
Oh, God. Using an impolite word, we often call that Excel hell, where you've got 6 to 8 platforms feeding data, and then you've got 4 to 5 people taking that data that's often old, a week or 2 or 3 weeks old, trying to curate it and hammer it together and getting a report that is only as good as, again, an Excel sheet. So it's that paradigm shift of it, and it's fun to watch people, like, their eyes go up. Like, I can see what happened yesterday, and more importantly, and I think this is when some of the dashboards that we've created, I can see the future when we really start to plan, and I can actually proactively manage my company. That, to me, is a fulfillment of why they bought a business management tool, which to me is very different than just a ERP piece of software.
Yeah, very true. And it is very satisfying when we see that. And we've seen organizations that do have good processes, and they do create accurate information, but the effort required and the lag time until they get that information
Exactly
is significantly changed by something like Q360.
Well, and then when the other nice thing about implementation is those 2 or 3 people that were just moving data around can now be value added inside the company, because they understand the company, they understand the culture, they're valued employees. But now let's actually put them to use, creating revenue or creating value, as opposed to just being in the background moving some things around.
Well, this sounds like it's a lot of work, but if I were to ask you, why should I embark upon this kind of major change, what would you tell me?
It's when you think about anything that you think about, the short-term pain feels painful. But when you think about it a year later, you're like, that wasn't that big a deal. So I think what we've done is anchored or put bookends around the project. We started with what we call the big why. Client, why did you buy the tool? What were you after? The reports, the results, the proactiveness in order to run your company. And we use that throughout the implementation. This is why you're doing what you're doing. This is what you'll be able to do once you implement it. And then we prove along the way, as they practice and we start to show them these dashboards and start to show them their data use, they really start to feel like, oh, we built this, as opposed to it's a piece of finance software for finance. And so I think anchoring that, and I think it also brings it to bear our vision as Solutions 360 to be our customer's most valued business partner.
Yeah, that's a big differentiator, and keeping that big why in focus as the goal and reminding everybody why they're doing it is very, very important, because it's so easy to get lost in the weeds when you're working day to day, putting out fires, trying to adopt new processes, looking
Absolutely.
at new software. Yeah.
And I think we also don't promise the silver bullet. It's going to take work, but the work that we're doing is all based on fundamental business principles. And we're giving them a basis to then grow their company for the next 10 or 15 years. So I think when you put it in that longer term horizon, people will go, it really wasn't painful at all. It was just a necessary investment.
Yeah. Well said. Well, thank you for your time today. I've learned a lot.
Thank you.